invited to give this talk, I had so many ideas. And even when I was sitting here, I still had different ideas of what to talk about. I have so many ideas to talk about that I really found it difficult to choose which one to stick to. But one thing I knew was that I wanted to talk about women. Women like me, women from the northern part of the country, and women whom I feel have been subjugated, women who are sidelined in the affairs of the society. And we're a powerful force. Women are powerful. Women, when you talk about women, women mean life. They mean life. Only a mother can bring you to the world. If a man can, let him bring you to the world. You only assist. But only the woman can bring you. Have you ever seen a man with a 9-month pregnancy? Despite plastic surgeries and other things and innovations, you have never had a man put into bed. And so that is the main responsibility of a woman. She's a life creator, a life giver. And without the woman, none of us will be here today. And I actually felt that we need to be brought out. The focus should be on women. When they say Professor Asabe Kabir, a professor from the northern part of the country, people start saying, hey, from Sokoto? Do we have professors there? And it looks as if it's a myth that maybe we did not actually earn that professorial seat. We were just given the professorial seat, and it is only when we come to talk. In the university, you have to give about 24 papers, published works, to become a professor. When I gave my works, when I put in my papers for promotion, I gave in only 26. But from the time I gave in my papers for promotion and to now, I have about 70 publications. Because I feel I can do it. And if I can do it, every woman can do it. But the unfortunate thing is this. Every part of the world, and not just in Nigeria or the northern part of the country, you find that women have been subjugated, women have been sidelined, or oppressed in one form or the other. And what do I mean by this subjugation? When you prevent a girl from going to school, you have subjugated her. You have oppressed her. When you look at a girl and say, this profession is not yours, it belongs to a man or a boy, you have oppressed her. You have sidelined her. And despite these roles that women play, they bring children to life, they nurture them, they train them. Even if you are the president of the whole world, it is a woman who has brought you to this world. And it is this woman who has trained you to become the president. And so why should women be sidelined? But unfortunately, that is the case everywhere, the world over. Forget about Nigeria. Forget about Africa, the world over. And then, my focus actually is the northern Nigerian women. Because I cannot talk about, for the women in America and Britain and others, I want to talk about women here. What do they feel like being subjugated? Don't think that they don't have feelings because they don't talk. They have feelings actually. And then they tried as much as possible to change the situations. But when any attempt is rebuffed, and then people bring in religion, and you know religion is very sensitive. And we have reached or gotten to a stage that we find it difficult to differentiate between religion and culture. And believe me, most things that go against the freedom of women is culture, not religion. Religion is very, very liberal. It is very flexible. And it allows for a woman to get to the highest, to the apex, just like a man. And when women tried all they could and they couldn't, they decided to use one very powerful tool. And that powerful tool is the pen, which is mightier than the sword. When you take the sword, you will kill, people will catch you. When you take the pen, take a fake name and write. Before you know it, everyone the world over has read it. And it is mightier than the sword. And that is when they attempted to use literature to emancipate themselves and to liberate themselves from oppression of the patriarchal society they find themselves. And luckily, they did that, and they succeeded because the reading culture had deteriorated, and they had a plus to that. And they took literature because it's a reflective tool of the society. It tells you the emotions of the people and everything. And they decided to use that as a weapon, as a tool to fight, to change the segregatory roles they have been going through. Unfortunately, I have to draw us back a little bit. When women started writing, men had already started writing before women. And you find that the men portray women as very simplistic human beings. The lackluster human being who is only satisfied to be a daughter, a mother, a sister, or a wife. Who is contented if she gives birth and she becomes, oh, kill me if she doesn't give birth. Who becomes disillusioned when she gives birth to only girls, because it is believed that the girl will fly out and build another man's home and then kill her own home. And that's why we have a Hausa proverb which says, "Ea mace yar kashe gida," the female daughter who kills her own father's house. Because no matter the number of female children you have, they tend to leave your home and go to build another man's home. But these women wondered that even though men have started writing and they portray women as simplistic beings, why can't they do the reverse? And they decided to take this pen and they started writing. Because the men cannot tell you everything. No man here can tell me what it feels like to take a 9-month-old pregnancy. No man here can tell me the pains of childbirth. No man can tell me the pains I will go through if I am in a polygamous family. No man can tell me the pains I will go through if my mother-in-law or father-in-law doesn't like me. Only a woman can tell her own story. And they started. So we started from the women being depicted and portrayed as beneath their male folk. And then when they started writing, they proved to the men that they could go beyond. And what do I mean by they could go beyond? We have these literature books, and that's why I asked them to take a picture or to take images of these books. We have more than 6,000 titles written in the Hausa language. 6,000 titles, not 600. And 90% of these writers are women. 90% are women. And they tell stories. They give us information which the men don't want the world to know about. Yes. We have societal issues around here. We have cases of rape, cases of child abuse, cases of forced marriages. Who tells the story? Only the woman involved. And that is why they are telling us their stories. Most of these stories are true life stories. And you need to read them to understand what a woman goes through when she is disadvantaged. One of the titles, Hakaya Isa, translated Enough is Enough, tells the story of a young girl who was raped by her own uncle at the age of 7. She could not talk, she couldn't tell anyone. Because customarily, being the first daughter, her mother was shy of her. And she could only confide in a fellow 7-year-old friend. And there was nothing they could do. And the implication or the repercussion did not come up until when she was married off to a 65-year-old man at the age of 10. And on their wedding night, he forcefully went to her and he realized she was not a virgin. And he took a cane and beat the hell out of her and threw her out of his room. Everyone came, the neighbors came, and they wanted to know what actually happened. And he called her a harlot, a prostitute. And this mother, who had nothing to do with her, was rebuked for bringing up a spoiled daughter. And nobody bothered to find out who did that. And when this girl confided to her grandmother that it was her uncle, the uncle was cleared by the father. How can my brother do this to you? And this girl had to live with this for 12 years in an unloved marriage with this 65-year-old man before she left for her home when he died. And it was only 20 years after when her uncle raped another 7-year-old girl. And that time he was about 70, and that was when they realized that he had done this. Tell me who best could tell this story but a woman who has gone through these stages. A woman goes through the pains of sharing a single love with 4 other people. We call it polygamy here. Because the men here are so selfish, they don't want you to know the tenets of polygamy. And they'll never allow the woman to know her rights. Who can tell you better the pains of being uneducated? By extension, if you are uneducated, you will not be empowered. Only an uneducated person can tell you the pains she has gone through. And this is what these women have been doing in their works. And you have so many titles, several titles. And one change these women have made to these writings is to create characters who have identity. Characters who can make it in life despite the subjugation they go through. And they produce or portray credible characters like engineers, education ministers. Call it fanciful line and myth and other things, but at least they know that they can do something. And they know a woman can also do it. And by doing that, I believe that they have raised themselves above what society expects them to be. And they have decided to bring the challenges women face in a patriarchal society to fore. They have tried to tackle these problems by proffering solutions and identifying these solutions in such a way that their characters do not go off target. What do I mean by going off target? By not going against the tenets of religion and tradition. By sticking to it, but in a way there is a comparison, you find that this is accepted, but I believe that I should be the subjugated one, not the subjugated one, sorry, but I should be at par with you. And I always tell people in my talks that God is very wise and very wonderful. Where did God create woman from? From the ribs of man. If God had wanted, he would have created woman from the front, but he did not want her to be ahead of man. If he had wanted, he could have created her from apart from his behind, but he did not want the woman to be behind the man. If he had wanted, he would have created her from apart from the head of man. He didn't want woman to be on top of man and trample him. He could have created her from the feet, but God did not want that because he didn't want man to trample upon woman. He created her from the side because God wanted her to be by his side. And in addition, he took a very special part of that side, the left-hand side, close to the heart. Everyone knows that the heart is on the left-hand side. Close to the heart and from the ribs, which is bent. If you attempt to straighten her up, she breaks. When a woman breaks, you are done for. And that is why women must be hard. And that is why we must read these books. And when we read them, we help out in translation so that the whole world will hear about them. Thank you very much.